year's VCF exhibit shows speech synthesis on 8-bit computers, and we're demonstrating the TI 99-4A, the Apple IIgs, and the Apple II Plus. For comparison, here is a modern application that uses speech synthesis, the Amazon Kindle app.
Single cell preface ANOEBA, leave no fossils. They haven't any bones, no teeth, no belt buckles, no wedding rings. It is impossible, therefore, to determine how long amoebae have been on Earth. Quite possibly they have.
Here is the display for this exhibit. What you see on the right is SAM, which was an innovative program that gave you speech without hardware. Originally, it required a hardware card, which was a digital to analog converter, but later they figured out how to do it without software. The one on the left uses the Echo, which is a card and an external speaker. And the Texas Instruments computer had text-to-speech via a card that plugged into the side. If you notice a spelling error on this exhibit, it is because you had to occasionally modify the spelling of words in order for them to pronounce correctly. So for the SAM program, these are the diphthongs and unvoiced consonants and special phonemes that you would need to use to correct the pronunciation of certain words. For the Echo, these are common words that needed to be corrected. And here's an English to phonetic spelling dictionary that was included in the manual for the talking text writer. On the TI, they used allophones, which are similar to phonemes. And these are the descriptions of each allophone and their numeric equivalent. So basically, by sending these allophones to the speech card, it was able to pronounce these words. The Mockingbird and Phaser included a speech chip if you bought that option, and these are the consonant phonemes that you would use, and they're hex codes. The 1, 2, 3, and 4 columns represent shorter or longer expression of those phonemes. Yeah, they control the length of the sound. And for vowels, you had these combinations of phonemes and some specific foreign sounds. So the phonemes are units of speech, audio, that can be combined to create words. And there are certain phoneme codes here that the Echo manual had. So as part of the exhibit, I'm bringing these 3 manuals for the TI text-to-speech disc, for the Mockingbird, which is being shown on a phaser card for the 2GS, a modern version of the phaser, and the Echo 2B with the speaker. Now, a secondary theme of this year's exhibit is women in computing. So for that exhibit, I am bringing an issue of Soft Talk magazine. Margot Comstock-Tomarvik published Soft Talk, and it was essential for the Apple II marketplace in the early 1980s. The movie and book Hidden Figures tells the story about human computers, how the calculations were done by teams of women who used Monroe calculators. And eventually, when the IBM systems were brought into NASA, these women learned how to program it in Fortran. Women have always had a role in computing since the beginning, and the advances they made enabled it available for everybody today. The book on the left shows a young girl who came up with a new cryptography algorithm, and the book on the right is from a modern podcaster who discusses electronics and embedded systems on the podcast embedded.fm. So your career opportunities are limitless these days, if you're interested and you're willing to work hard. So 40 years ago, we had a game called Parsec for the TI 994A, and it used the speech synthesizer.
Fire to begin.
Press fire to begin, which is the
Alert. Alien craft advancing.
So Q, whoops, the Q key is fire.
Alert. Alien craft advancing.
It's W and C, W and X. Oh, E and X.
Good shot.
Great shot. Oops.
Alert. Alien craft advancing.
There's a Texas Instruments logo there I have to protect.
Alert. Alien craft advancing.
This is the circuit for the TI speech chip, and you'll notice that there is a double chip on one side. So that is the speech ROM. So inside the TI, it has these cards. There's the disk controller at the top, 32K RAM, RS-232, and the flex cable interface, which goes back to the fire hose, which is this box that would plug into the speech synthesizer card into the side of the TI. Okay, now I'm changing to the extended basic cartridge so I could run a program from the disk drive that uses a speech synthesizer. Okay, TI extended basic.
Come to VCF East to play with me.
On the Apple IIgs, you can use a Wombat to provide a USB interface to an Apple ADB port. So here I'm using a wireless keyboard, and if I On the Apple II Plus, before there were commercial speech synthesizers, a lot of speech synthesis was done by recording through the cassette port. So here is an example of a program that did this. So that is 1-bit digital conversion of an analog tape. That was David Lee Roth. So those are examples of voice that I recorded into the cassette port. And here's another example. So this program shows how much you can get using Apple memory to store digitized speech. Let's go back to 1984. Here is cat music, used for digitizing audio segments and playing them through your speaker or an Apple Cat modem. So here's a song that I digitized back in the day. So this is a version of the Apple SAM that I modified to play through either the speaker or the cassette port, so you could use a better speaker, and also added a few things. And then it plays this four-voice song. So that four-voice music is a famous technique. It's a famous technique that uses one-bit duty cycles to send four voices. And I added a psychologist to this version of Sam. From a friend who wrote this in 1982. So if you run the Say It program, you can enter text in phoneme mode as well.
Office of Civilian Defense, Washington. Instructions to citizens of the United States of America in case of nuclear attack. 1. Stay clear of all windows. 2. Keep hands free of pressing buttons, cigarettes, etc. 3. Stay away from bar tables or just like equipment and furniture. 4. Remove and make your button cool and any other escalating coffee. 5. Remove dresses, empty pockets of all sharp objects such as pens, pencils, keys, etc. 6. Immediately upon seeing the alien flash of nuclear Explosion can go over and place your head firmly between your legs. 7. That is your escape by. In case of nuclear attack, please. These warnings there ain't much else you'll be able to do.
And inside the 2 Plus, we have the disk controller controlling a floppy EMU, and then we have a Videx 80 column card and a language card and a reactive micro upgraded power supply. So this is the inside of the 2GS, where you could see the memory card, the CFFA 3000, the phaser, the Passport MIDI interface, and the Echo speech synthesizer. So this 2GS is using a CFFA 3000 to emulate a hard disk and floppy disks. And this is the floppy disk controller for selecting a disk image. So I'm booting slot 6, and we're going to look at a program from 1982. So Talking Text Writer is 40 years old, from Scholastic. It's loading now from the floppy. And insert file disk, well, that's in drive 2, so I hit spacebar, it goes to drive 2. And it's reading from the USB stick. And now I could pick a file, type G to get the file. And here is Mary Had a Little Lamb, and I press the 4 to play it.
Mary's lamb.
Okay, 4 plays 1 line of text, and 5 plays 1 screen of text.
Mary's lamb. Like Sarah, Joseph, came. Mary had a little lamb. Its fleece was white as snow.
Then page down is the apple and the down arrow, and 5 to read it.
And everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. He followed her to school one day.
And how did the story end?
That was against the rule. It made the children laugh and play to see a lamb at school.
Okay, open Apple question mark for help. And the number 1 key is what advances between your different menus. Large, slow, cursor movement. Okay, Command F to finish. And then you could choose a different one, like my favorite, Jabberwocky. Get. Now it's going to jump to 80 columns, and we can read a screen of that.
Jabberwocky by Lewis Carroll Charles Lutwidge Dodgson plus Brilliant and the Slippy Tones it and Rimble in the name.
Okay, any key stops talking. If you have a CFFA and don't want to reboot and press M to get to the menu, you can call the slot number and 30 from the monitor to run the CFFA menu, or you can call it from AppleSoft like I did there. And now I'm at the CFFA menu. Now I'm going to change my disk assignments for slot 1 to a Willy Byte disk. Let's boot slot 6.
Willy Byte in the digital dimension.
So in Willy Byte, you are inside an Apple computer, and you have to get a byte from the keyboard to RAM to the disk. So this is the keyboard, and you have to bring each bit down to the bottom. I'm going to give you a demo of how that works. And this is RAM, where you have to pull the bits out into RAM while the electricity is running. Data, data. And this is the floppy disk, where you have to balance on the read-write head in order to write your bit to disk, your byte to disk, while avoiding all the other
Willy Byte in the digital dimension.
Okay, let's try again. Please turn the disk over. Well, I'm just going to press this button for side 2, and it should run. Okay, let's give it a simple message.
Prepare to enter the digital dimension.
All right, let's write a program. Let's go to the keyboard, and let's just exit and jump up.
Prepare to enter keyboard.
Okay, let's go up and bounce on a key. Oh, that's fun. And now let's bring these bits down. And let's fall off.
Oh, wow.
So this game made creative use of speech and Mockingboard sound. I'm waiting for the mean guy to come out.
Greetings, computer nerds.
How did he know? Oh boy, giving me more work to do. Okay, if you put a speech chip on the reactive micro phaser card, you can have a free psychologist built in.
It is a pleasure to meet you, ancestor. Are you enjoying yourself, ancestor? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I might be able to brighten up your visit a bit. Say, I can solve all sorts of problems except those dealing with religion.
The phaser is also a 12-voice music player, so you can hear some classics like this.
Classic adventure. Welcome to adventure. Would you like instructions?
So when you bought a Mockingbird, the back of the disc had the classic adventure game using the speech synthesizer.
Please answer the question. You are standing at the end of a road before a small brick building. Around you is a forest. A small stream flows out of the building and down a gully.
This Arduino project is being used to test a Slackfest project for Kansas Fest that will play MIDI input into the Apple Passport MIDI interface and play it on a Mockingbird or a phaser.
Integral, fundamental, in this real world of acceleration. Explore me, I like the differential. Take me to El Capital. My sinus is minus. I am 0 over 0. Differentiate me from top to bottom. And try to put together something real. Theorem 1. One who tries to differentiate love will find that it is indeterminate. Love is parametric. It's x and y in time. It may even be a paraboloid with a right equation. Oh how cosine is slow. Phi d ho d phi. You react your max. And the curve is concave down. Enjoy this instant. But look out for the delta. Whatever equation you follow in love, may it be a continuous function with a horizontal asymptote, even though it is bounded in a domain.
Who can get out of Ukraine?